Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Fannin's Flashbacks, the podcast that nobody asked for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. This podcast is going to cover tales from IWA Mid South during my 12 years with the company, and it will be a part of the VNMVS Podcast Network. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only due to the foul language and graphic details about deathmatch wrestling that it will contain. This will be your backstage pass to get a peek behind the curtain at what led to the downfall of the craziest independent wrestling promotion of the late 1990s, early 2000s. And without any further ado, Nick Manawa, hit the music. Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to this episode of Fannin's Flashbacks. It's the podcast nobody asked for, but I decided to give it to you anyway. These are normally tales from IWA Mid South during my time there from 1997 to 2009. However, I am joined today by a very special guest that comes to IWA Mid South after my timeline. She is well known to IWA fans because she is the wife of John Wayne Murdoch, but she has her own story to tell on the podcast tonight. And I've been warned by no less than 12 people that saw the announcement earlier today online that I need to give this disclaimer and warning. The views expressed on this episode today by our guest are hers and hers alone. By being said on this podcast, we at Fannin's Flashbacks are not endorsing her comments. We are just giving her the ability to exercise her freedom of speech, which we realize means she can't be arrested for these words, but there can be some repercussions for her. So please, Mae, don't say anything that's going to get us all sued. She is one mouthy ant. Mae, how you doing tonight?
Hey, y'all. What's up? How are you?
We are good. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a hectic week for me. I had a guest lined up and ready to go and had a death in the family, the real life family, not the Fannin family, that caused me to have to cancel that. And then it's just been a crazy week of going back and forth from Chicago to Morris and trying to fit in work and everything else. So you are rescuing me today. I appreciate that very much by making yourself available for this. And then once I saw the notes that you had sent me, I'm really looking forward to being able to do this episode and hear what you've got to say. I always start the podcast the same way, finding out what made the guest a wrestling fan. Were you a wrestling fan before meeting John, or are you brought into it because of him? Like, what's your story as to what makes you a wrestling fan, Mae?
No, I was actually a fan before John. My dad was a big wrestling fan and he died. We were really close younger. So we always watched wrestling, and someone had took me after he died, trying to cheer me up, I guess, took me to an indie wrestling show, a Mike Porter wrestling show nonetheless. And I'm sitting there and Tracy Smothers comes out, and I'm arguing with him because to me it's real. I'm this 9-year-old kid that I'm having the time of my life, and he's like, I'll never forget. He was like, "You're too big for your britches," and that made me just fall in love. I don't know why, but and then I just kind of joined and followed. There I met a wrestler named Ty Blade, and I was younger. He kind of took me under his wing, and I was his little sister. And then following him, I followed him to Tony Falk's show, and then later on, that is when actually a young Damian Payne, which is John Wayne Murdoch, was in the crowd. And so I kind of peeped him over there and made friends with his brother. Actually, me and his brother were like best friends first, and then kind of got with John. So it's always funny. Everyone thinks I just go to wrestling because of John. And I'm like, no, I actually kind of like this stuff, even though I don't like to admit it.
Well, sometimes it's hard to admit to, especially the deathmatch hardcore style of wrestling. I get a lot of, especially where I work, they're like, you did what? And you're going back to doing what? And they
Yeah.
can't quite wrap their head around it. And I get it. I get it. It's hard to believe. It's hard to wrap your brain around unless you've just been around it and get to know it. And then, to know it is to love it, kind
Yeah.
of thing. So it's great to get a little bit of background on you. So your father had passed away when you were 9, you said?
Yeah, yeah, very, very young. So then his mother, I started going with her every weekend. I kind of took over her, she took over, his weekend visit, and she would just take me to indie wrestling. I mean, we would go to Kentucky because we're originally from Tennessee. So like we would travel pretty much anywhere, the shows was. She was my ride or die. She would take me everywhere. So and then later on I would just take myself and, just kind of stuck around.
Okay. So we sort of have that in common. I was a little bit older when I had lost my mom when I was 16 and then my dad when I was 18, or I just turned 19, I guess, when he had passed. So I was a little bit older when I lost mine, and then my grandmother took the role of both parents for me, and pretty like,
Right.
I guess at 19, I guess I was already raised, but she took over
Right,
the
right.
role as parent at that point, and you know guided me through life until she passed about 10 years ago now. Well, 8 years, I guess it was. So, I could, my dad was the wrestling fan and got me involved. And so I could, we can bond over that little shared experience. I didn't get to,
Yes. For sure.
I didn't get to go to a lot of shows though, because my dad was in a wheelchair and we went one time and that was the most that we could get.
Oh, wow.
But it was at the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, and got to see Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat in a cage. So got to at
Wow.
least
Okay.
got to
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least see got to at least see a good one that got me started on it.
Right,
But
right.
I'd been watching it since I was like 4 years old. Did you get started that young watching it, or?
Oh gosh, I can't even remember those days to be honest. But I was very, very young. Yeah,
Okay.
from I can remember watching it on the fat TVs,
Oh
sitting
yeah.
there waiting for it to come on and things like that. So yeah, it was really, my granny really stuck in there and took me to a lot of them. So if it wasn't for her, you guys wouldn't have me, I guess. So
Well, you know, thankfully she kept you coming around, and
yeah.
then so you said that you met John when he was just in the crowd. He hadn't started
Oh
wrestling
yeah. Yeah, he was just in the crowd, hadn't started wrestling yet. Um, Younger Mae and John was very on and off again, on again, off again. So we dated on and off again um, through the years, and then once we were older and had Blake kind of settled down. But that's kind of just how we met, was just being young, dumb kids. Reed always says we're the most two people that need to be together, but we fight it so much. You're like, why are y'all even fighting? Just shut up. Like, you're just bored. Like, you're so,
Well, when you're together that long, you're gonna have your disagreements. You're gonna
yeah,
have,
yeah, for sure.
and you're gonna get on each other's nerves when, we'll get into some of the long road trips and everything. When you're in a confined space for a long amount of time, you're bound to
Yeah.
get on each other's nerves. So that all makes sense. Um, so I was going to ask how you met John, but you've already gone into that. Um, like, how long before John became a wrestler was this?
Oh, I can't even remember years. Maybe 1 or 2 years. He was training because he started
Okay.
very young training. So he was training. He just wasn't at USWO at the time. He was wanting to come there. So he was in the crowd kind of filling it out. And then, as the years went on, he went to wrestle there. I was a fan there. Um, we kept that connection, that way. I went my way. He went his way for a while. And then we just always reconnected.
So it was like written in the stars. It
Yeah,
meant
pretty
to
much.
be,
Yeah, yeah. We always
what
found our way back to each other somehow. So, and then we got Blake. So
Well, that's good. What is it that they say? If you love someone, you let them go. If they come back, so
yeah,
you guys have been through the trials and tribulations with that, and it's worked out, and you
yeah.
know we're to this point. Um, so when John started in Tennessee, it's not deathmatch wrestling, is it? It's
No.
probably a lot like what probably based off of what you saw in Memphis
A lot
and
of that. Yeah.
the old school Memphis style. So like is that how he started doing that style?
Yes, yep. He was doing that up until I think it was around the time I got pregnant with Blake. Was that first death match in 2011? That he actually broke up into the death match scene, kind of. Was right after his first death match.
Okay. And you said this is 2011, so this is 2 years after I've gone. Was that first one at IWA? Did he do it somewhere else?
Yep, it was at IWA with Simon Says. Yep.
Okay.
So we had I was pregnant, and then he went and did his first death match. Funny story, I ended up leaving him when he went to go do that first death match. I was just like, this is not the place for me. Like at that point in time, I was like, nah, I gotta go. So he leaves, has his first death match, comes home, realizes, oh shit, like we're not together anymore. Like, so I don't know how his recovery and all that went. Now, probably 2 or 3 days after that, we were back talking. Like I was just throwing a fit, tantrum tantrum, whatever. Um, but that's just a funny story that his first death match, I used that as an excuse, to leave the house. So
So
that's
question,
always fun.
did you write John a Dear John letter, or did he just come back to an empty place?
Yeah, just come back to an empty place. I had took what I could take and then just left, and then literally was back a week later. It was literally the dumbest thing, stupid, but that was his first death match experience of coming home.
Well,
he,
it's a
he's gonna
great
hate
way.
that I told that.
It's a great way to make sure that he remembers it.
Yeah.
And then so you said that it was against Simon Says.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And I was totally against it, so I didn't want to watch it. Like for me, wrestling in my head at that time was the Southern style. The heels. I love the heels. They didn't need weapons. That was the wrestling that I liked. So when he started wanting to do death matches, I was like, that's so dumb. Like I hated it. Like I didn't understand it. I Googled Ian Rotten, which, you
Don't
should.
ever do, ladies and gentlemen, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that. For the love of God, don't do that.
Yeah, you never want to do that. But I did that. So I was totally against it. Like I wouldn't watch it. Like you go to the road, you go do that. That's so dumb. I don't want to hear about it. When you come home, I don't care. Like I just don't want to hear about it. And that's how I was for a while until the very first one he ever had me watch was him versus Ian.
Okay.
Why would you pick that? I don't know. But he comes home and he's so happy. He's got the DVD because, back then, Ian would pay you in a DVD. So,
If you were lucky.
yeah.
If you were lucky, your payday would be, oh, well, here's at least a copy of the show. You can,
Yeah.
Make a highlight reel out of it, send it to some other promoters, try to get yourself some other bookings in other places. And so that was actually one of the things that, even going back to the beginning of my time, people would just clamor to be one of the lucky ones that he would let come over to his double wide trailer and dub off almost immediately
The DVD
watch it. But these were VHS, because we're true dinosaurs here.
Oh, wow.
And so it was have the VHS, and they'd be trying to dub off of it and get it like that night so they could have it to send out to other people. Um, so when John did the match against Simon Says, I don't like Simon Says, so I'm with you. I wouldn't have wanted to see that. I wouldn't have wanted to see that either. So you made a good choice with that one.
Okay.
Had he been working for IWA at this point, or was he just starting? So we know he failed at the tryout show when I was still around. So in the couple of years, had he already like started and was doing?
I think it was that. So that was Christian Hames called him for that booking because I think he was originally supposed to do it and couldn't or something. Somehow that got that booking got. And I think it was just one offs. Like I think he went down for a toe jam benefit, I believe. Yeah. Don't quote me on that, but I think he went down for a couple random ones, so it wasn't at that point constant yet. Because so he brings home the DVD, and we're watching it, and like he's so happy. He's like, "Yeah, watch this and watch that," and I'm just sitting there and like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" Like, this man is going to kill you. And I'm like, you can't do that. Like, I can't be a part of this. Like, it was like one of our biggest fights ever. I was like, we got to split up. Like, I don't want to be anywhere involved in that mess. Like, I didn't want any parts of it. And then weeks went by. I thought about it. And I was like, okay. So then he started going more and going more and going more. And then I was like, well, it can't be that bad if he's not dead yet. He keeps going back. Because in my head, I thought he'll go once or twice. He'll get tired of getting beat up and he won't go anymore. Well,
and you're still you haven't had Blake at this point. You're still just pregnant, right? Or
no, I had Blake because that time passed. Yeah.
Okay, so but I mean, you're a brand new mom.
Yeah.
You got this little baby that you're looking for a father to be healthy, be able to support, be there to watch the kid grow up and be around, and you're like, I can't imagine the thoughts that would have to be going through your head in that scenario, watching your guy go and like potentially cripple himself doing doing the insane stuff. And like I can just imagine the burden that's would put onto you and different things, and that's part of what people don't really think about when they're thinking about what the wrestlers are going through, what the significant others are going through, watch kind of deal. And so it's interesting to get to hear someone's perspective that, it's a perspective that I'm never going to be able to understand or experience myself. So it's interesting that, you're like, to me, it sounds like just a completely natural reaction, what you're having, and trying, and then, you're trying to work through it yourself and come to terms with it. And so what kind of do you remember what kind of stipulation it was on the match with Ian that he was so happy and showed you?
Fans bring the weapons, maybe. They just had a bunch of shit that they was hitting each other with. That's all I knew. And
okay,
it was
so the standard match.
Yeah. And it was unsafe as fuck, is what I was thinking. I was just like, oh, like, and he's so happy. And then, like, he was just so adamant. He was like, you don't understand, like, I can't, like, I gotta go to these shows. I gotta go. And I was just like, but you're literally like killing yourself right now. And I just didn't understand it. But I was like, he's so passionate about it. Just give it a chance. I was like, just go once. And he was like, please just go once. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'll go once and then I'll make my mind up. I'll try anything once, I guess, whatever.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Famous last words right there.
I'm stuck. But so we go down to Jammers, Indiana. Blake is, at this point, binky diaper, but he's walking at this age. So we go, and I'm standing there, and I'm just kind of watching, hanging back, because we get there, John's got to be at a show fucking 4 hours early sometimes. So we're getting there. Ian's walking around, directing traffic, and I hear him tell a lady, he goes, I know you're a girl and all, but you got to help set up too. And she, yes, sir, and goes and starts setting up. And I can tell he's kind of, eyeballing who he can get next. And so his eyes just, looking my way. And I'm like, ain't no way, motherfucker. So I pick up Blake. But, I'm not an idiot. I play it off. I pick up Blake and I walk past him and I go, I'm going to go change him. And then, I'll come out and help too. Oh, thank you. I wasn't going to, ask you, but thank you. Thank you. Like, okay. So I go hide out in the bathroom because I ain't no idiot. So whatever. They do locker room meeting, normal show, whatever. So at some point, there's this young kid, and I guess him and Ian are supposed to be cutting a promo. Well, this young kid decides to shoulder check Ian. Shoulder checked him. Ian falls and stumbles, so it embarrasses Ian. And Ian jumped up, I swear, like he was an 18-year-old kid. And I'm just like, this man just had a benefit show. Like, he only has 9 toes. How is he moving like this? Because before the show, he was, walking around needing somebody to set up the building for him. But, I mean, he gets on this kid, allegedly, and he's just, laying into town. And the kid's going, Mize. And I'm like, is this part of the show? I'm so confused right now. Like, does this kid really need help? And no one's helping him? Like, this is the shit I read on the internet. Like, This is why I didn't want to come. Yeah, but I stuck around.
You stuck around after that. So
yeah.
And that was your first time meeting Ian, and this happens.
Yeah, so crazy. The kid, and I was like, we get in the car on the way home, and the first thing John says is, "What'd you think about Ian?" And I said, I'll never shoulder check him, You're
right.
I will never do that. No.
Well, see, even going back to my times, we would joke about stuff like what you were describing there, because like the prequels to the Star Wars movies had just come out with like the, episodes 1, 2, 3. And they would have like the scenes where, Yoda's walking around with his cane and looks, the 800-year-old Jedi, and he's all hunched over and teeny tiny and feeble looking and needs this cane to move around. But then all of a sudden he's ready to start fighting and going against the other thing. And he's flipping through the air and doing all this wild shit. And that's how Ian would be like pre-show. You'd be like, is he even going to be able to get up out of a chair? Like how is he going to, he's all hunched. Oh, I can't do anything. Oh, I can't do anything. But then he puts his wrestling boots on and it's like a magic potion or something. And then all of a sudden he's able to wrestle for 35 minutes. And then he takes the wrestling boots off and he's back to feeble old, I need a walker to move around and can't do anything. And so he was pulling that for 10, 15 years by that point, probably.
Yeah. So then I stuck around for a couple more weeks, and then the FrankenBentley head injury ended up happening. That was probably 3 weeks later that ended up happening, and they all yelled for me to get my car, and I'm like, me? Like, I don't even know around town. Like, I'm not the person that should be doing this. Like, I'm not that responsible. But he jumps in the back seat of the car, and I mean, his head, if you've seen it, was flapped open. So we go, they get him to the hospital. Me and Blake actually wait outside in the car, and I swear they probably made him sit out in the waiting room for like 6 hours with his head like that. So it was wee early morning drive back once they finally stitched him up and did all that. But yeah, I still went back.
And you still went back.
Yeah.
And so that you're talking about I think they called it the FrankenBentley
Yes.
incident with the head. The rejects were on episode 30 of the podcast and got to hear a little bit of that story. So is that the one where like John's almost getting kicked out of the hospital because he's ready to kill them all because they keep saying that this guy's ears falling off or something, and he's like, it's not his fucking ear.
Like, I was
Get over
so
here and
mad.
something. And
yeah. Yeah, we were waiting in the car, and I would get so mad because he would come out there and he would be like, well, they're not seeing him. And I was like, what do you mean they're not seeing him? The guy's head is falling off. Like, there's no way. Like, what the fuck is going on? Because I'm tired. The baby's tired. Like, come on. But at that point, we just went to sleep because I was like, there's no way we're making it back. Like, fuck it. We're going to sleep out in the parking lot. When you guys get ready, we'll be here.
Okay, so this reminds me of a couple of stories that I can tell with my experiences. So one of the first Lexington shows that we ran when my college buddies had started using their funds and going into business with Ian to get IWA to come run in Lexington while we were going to the University of Kentucky. So like end of 97, beginning of 98, Cash Flow gets DDT'd on the floor. And he hits, they had put a pile of chairs on the floor and they were supposed to like DDT him onto the chairs, and somehow they like missed and he just went right to the concrete, got split wide open, bleeding buckets everywhere. And I mean, I was going to the University of Kentucky, but I'm from freaking 8 hours away in Morris, Illinois. I don't freaking know Lexington. I know how to get to the university. That's and then I figured out how to get to the armory. But I don't know my way around town. It's not, I just stay on campus. I'm not doing, and there's no, we don't have GPS. There's no nothing, but they're like, hey, you need to get him to the hospital. And I'm like, okay, I'll see what I can do,
Right. Yeah,
so I'm trying, Cash is all wrapped up with towels on his head, trying not to bleed everywhere. And I'm trying to get him to my vehicle. And they had to take an intermission to mop up the armory floor because there's just blood everywhere,
Gosh.
And so everybody goes outside to smoke. And Cash is like walking out and going to my car, and he's like, hey, Jimmy, this is so nice that everybody came out to see how I'm doing and to see me off to the hospital. And I'm like, or Cash, they're just out here because it's intermission and they wanted to smoke, And he was like, oh man, you couldn't even give me that one. And I'm like, no, I'm not. They're not out here to check on you. And they didn't know you were going to the hospital. They had no idea.
He's like holding his head, and he's like, I'll be here next week. It's not that bad. And I'm like, get in the fucking car, man. And he's like, I promise I'll be back. And I'm like, stop lying and get in the fucking car. You're going to bleed to death.
And it's, hospitals are just ridiculous with the rules that they have and how slow that they can end up being. You're talking like Reed's bleeding out. And it takes like 6 hours before he could even see anybody. It's like, what are you doing? What is higher priority? And what's going on? Like, is there only like one nurse on duty? What's going on?
What was so crazy was they thought he had like an earache or something. And he was like, no, my head is split. Like, do you see this? So, yeah.
And I haven't told the story on the podcast. My wife would probably kill me if I do. So I'll try to trim it up a little bit. But, my wife has CML, which is the same chronic leukemia that Roman Reigns has.
Oh wow.
that he missed some time for a few years ago when he had his health scare. I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has it. But it's a rare chronic leukemia that it's always in you,
Mhm.
no matter what. And the drug that she was taking had like a 10-year lifespan on it before it would like stop working because your body would just become immune to it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So she was like getting at the end of her 10-year cycle, and it's a leukemia that I think at the time they said like 90% of the people that get it are senior citizens,
Oh wow.
and she got it in her 20s, and so like most people don't make it to the end of the 10-year cycle because they're so old anyway.
Right.
So like the second generation drugs are hit and miss. They're not as tested because there's not that many people to test it on.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So they gave her the first one that they gave her like immediately attacked her like pancreas and was like causing her pancreas to shut down. And so they had to switch her to a second one. And there
Yeah.
was only like two. There was only like two or three of the second generation drugs to try.
Yeah.
So the first one she couldn't take. They gave her the second one, and like her menstrual cycle wouldn't shut off. So she was just constantly bleeding.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, every day. And it got to the point where she was like getting ghostly pale. And I'm like, I got to get you to the hospital. We got to get you checked
Yeah.
out.
Wasting way
This
too much
is
blood.
this is horrible. And so we take her to the hospital, and she can't even walk. She's in a load of pain and can't walk. And they're doing like nothing to help us because she's larger than me. The leukemia pills make her retain water and everything else. So
Right.
she's constantly just like filled with water and stuff. And can't she can hardly walk. She can hardly stand. You can look at her and see she looks like a ghost.
Right. Yeah.
And I get her into the front door of the hospital, and I start to try to get her to the desk, and she like passes out, and I'm trying to hold her up, and like no one was coming. And I'm like, is somebody going to help me? And they were like, sorry, hospital policy, you have to make it to the wheelchair yourself. We can't come to you. And I'm like, what the hell kind of policy is this? And they were like, well, for everybody's safety, we're not allowed, like, you got to make it to us. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever
You're
heard in my
inside the
entire
doors,
life.
though, right?
We're inside the doors. It's not
Oh
like you're
wow.
having to go out into gunfire to, like, you just have
Right.
to
Yeah.
walk
Yeah.
over to me. And like I'm struggling. I'm ready to like almost like fall to the floor. And finally another person that's waiting to see somebody gets up and goes and gets a wheelchair and brings it to us and helps me put her in it. And everybody's just looking at the people at the desk like, you're worthless.
Yeah.
What the hell was that? You know? And then she still has to like sit there for like, you just watched her pass out in front of you. And then we still had to like sit there for another hour and a half before they called her into the back. And then they like took some blood from her, and they're like, oh my God, we need to get somebody in here to see you immediately. And it's like,
Yeah, no
well,
shit.
that no, that was what, that was an hour and a half ago. And then like she ended up needing, forget what it was, but she ended up needing like the maximum amount of blood that they could give her in transfusions. It was like 6-7 bags of blood that
Jeez.
they had to give her to like get her back into. And then it was still like she was still low.
Yeah.
I think they said it was like 80% of her blood was gone or something
Oh
at
wow.
that point. And it was just like ridiculous. and no help whatsoever. So I can just imagine watching him bumble around when Reed's bleeding out and his head's flopped open, and they're like, "Oh, the guy's got an earache." I can't look at him and see that
Yeah,
it's not an earache. And
the bloody towel means nothing for his ear or anything. Yeah, yeah, they were less than helpful that night for sure.
it's
And then
The
I guess
American
that leaves
healthcare
us.
the American healthcare system sucks. We'll just say that.
Yeah, yeah. That's why someone will be like, "Did John go to the hospital or this or that?" And I'm like, "No, like this man does not want to go to the doctor at all." He just had an earache like a couple of months ago, and I kept telling him, "You're gonna have to go to the doctor." No, it's fine. It'll go away. And I'm like, "It's not gonna go away. That's not how that works. You're gonna at least have to go to a walk-in clinic and get antibiotics." And he finally did. But
Well, he probably
whew,
walked into
sometimes he's hard-headed.
yeah. Well, he probably walked into the clinic and said, "I've got an earache," and they're like, "This guy's head's split open. He's falling apart out here. Somebody get out here right away."
Yeah, they always want to do this or do that. Or one time he had toothpicks in his elbow, and they x-rayed it, and they were like, "Well, we need to get this and this, and you're covered in glass under there." And he's like, "No, please just get the toothpicks out. Like, I don't care about the glass. Keep that in there, just the toothpicks." And they're just like looking at me, and they're like, "How do you do this?" And I'm like, "It's not my body." I mean, that's literally all I could say. They're like, "You watch this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Through my fingers, maybe.
Yeah. I kind of sway back and forth, like, "Oh, is this gonna be okay?" Um, so yeah.
Okay. So you get the FrankenBentley experience, and then you follow that up with your first King of the Deathmatch experience. How was
Yes,
that?
that was quite fun. For me at least, because like I said, I am a fan. So by this point I'm kind of used to the death matches. Jammers would let you get a little crazy, but not like King of the Death crazy. I wish I would have remembered where it was at, but I can't. But whatever. So like it's like my first full like death match heavy show. So like I'm loving it. Cool, great. We get back to the hotel, and I convinced the lady, the clerk at the desk. I'm like, "Hey, like, you do realize all of these people are deathmatch fans, and they are gonna be loud as fuck. But you know what? If you let us all go to the pool, we're all in one area, so no one else can complain." And they're like, "Okay, cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got us all in the pool." Until like all the bloody deathmatch guys got in the pool, and I was like, "This is not what I meant. Like, this is now like soup, dirty deathmatch soup." I like it.
Yeah. Oh, they probably needed to. They probably just needed to fumigate the whole place
Yeah,
by the time
yeah.
everybody got out of that pool. Oh God.
Yeah. And apparently it didn't even help because the whole hotel apparently got ruined. Ian's card got charged so much, allegedly.
Allegedly.
He got the conversation that I did hear on speakerphone. The guy's like, "Who the fuck are you? And how are any of you guys standing right now? There's so much beer and cigarette butts and weed everywhere and blood." Because I guess the guys just bled all over the sheets. Like, it was an experience. It was.
Yeah, I could only imagine. Like, we lost so many damn hotels over the years because of stuff like that. And I mean, and a lot of it's not intentional. I mean, if if you if your back is lacerated beyond belief from glass and tacks and barbed wire and everything else. As you're tossing and turning at night, or your back starts to itch as it scabs up, you
Right.
start to
Yeah.
in your sleep, you scratch, and then all of a sudden you're just bleeding everywhere. Um, and it's going to get all over the sheet. I mean, it's going to happen. And like the number of times that like Ian would wake up in the hotel and his pillowcase is just covered in blood from his forehead busting open in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
while he's sleeping. And it's, yeah, the number of destroyed linens
Yeah, I'm always like,
and
what do
sometimes
they
and
do?
sometimes you're lucky if it's just blood
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
these
yeah,
guys are getting
yeah.
everywhere.
I'll never forget, we're sitting back there with Ian, and he's like got his book out, and he's talking to the guy, and he was like, which rooms are you charging me for? And he's like looking to see who he gave the rooms to, and he's like, well, which room was the worst? And it was Corporal Robertson's, and he was so mad. Oh my God. He cussed Corp out so bad. Oh,
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah,
Allegedly.
allegedly.
Allegedly, it was Corporal Robinson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was bad. Uh,
In what year's King of the Death was this?
oh man, I wish I could remember. I should have took notes. That's what happened. I did it last minute. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
y'all.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, I stuck around after that too. And then at some point we end up moving to Indiana with, well, first we lived, this is the first time we lived with Ian. So we pack up the car. We're really, drinking the Kool-Aid, as they say, We're in deep by this point at this one, I guess. I made my decision. We were stuck. And so we moved down, and we're going to live with Ian.
Now, where were you? Where were you living at this point? Was it still Tennessee, or
Yeah,
were you
still Tennessee.
okay?
Yeah, we were still in Tennessee. So we move in with Ian in Louisville. That lasted for probably 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah,
Wow.
it
You
was
you you
just
pack up you pack up from Tennessee, move up there, and you make it 2 whole days.
yeah.
Now, at this point, like, is it a trailer? Is it a house?
It's a
Like,
house.
it's a house. Okay.
Yeah, but it was very tiny. It was very tiny. It was just not for us. So it lasted about 2 days. We ended up packing up the car, and we're gonna just spend a couple of nights with Reed. What's the plan? Because Reed lives in a 2-bedroom with one of his friends, one of his family friends. So we're gonna figure it out. Whatever. We're in deep. We're living the dream at this point. So our car breaks down.
Mm.
And like completely breaks down, no fixing it. I can't remember what it was, but it was dead at that point on the interstate on the side of the road. So we went from we'll figure it out to, hey Reed, we need to stay just a little bit longer.
Mm.
And he accepted us. And the rejects are born out of it. And yeah. So when we say family, we really mean family, because he really saved us there. So we move in with Reed. We're doing every Thursday night at Jammers, Colgate, weekly shows. I start running the concession stand.
Okay.
So running the concession stand can only be what you think it is for Ian Rod. He wants his money.
Right.
You this, that, but he would never be cheap about it. So I have to give him that. But he wanted you selling no matter what. Until that last fan is out the door, you better be selling.
Yeah.
You ain't sitting, because no one wants to walk up to someone who's sitting. So you're standing all night working. But yeah, so we did that. I'm trying to think of any backstage things. I guess I could talk about the wrench story. That's one of my favorite Ian stories. So it's a TPI. At this point, we're doing, the weekly shows. Ian's having bigger shows, stuff like that. But for some reason, I can't remember, but John was in the doghouse. So Ian didn't put him in the TPI. So John was so mad. But we still went because I think Reed maybe was in it, or Nick Depp or something. Because by this point, we move in with Reed. Reed's other friend moves out. So then we ended up turning Reed's house into a wrestling apartment. Nick Depp moves in, Slade moves in. We're just one happy family. We all get jobs at some computer place making hard drives. So we're working together, wrestling together, living together.
Bad combination.
Yeah.
You need a break from each other at some point. And
yeah. So, and it was all steaming, John gets put in the doghouse, doesn't get TPI. And I don't remember what John Calvin did, but he said something, allegedly, that pissed John off so bad. So bad. And I could see it. When John gets mad and gets this look in his eyes, you just know, like, all right, this is going to be bad. So he just brushes past me. And I'm like, don't do nothing. And he goes under the ring, allegedly, and grabs a wrench, allegedly. And he just heads to the back. And I'm like, hey, somebody needs to go stop him. Like, please, somebody, like, I don't want to go back in the locker room. That's not no, I don't like going back there. But somebody go back there and get him. And they're like, Hosea goes, nah, just let it happen.
Just let it happen.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, this ain't good. So I just sat there, and you can hear Ian go, what are you going to do with that?
What are you going to do with that? See, and Isaiah's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Because, there was like John Calvin was a demon child when he was growing up. And like Pondo and everybody would just like have him go up and just like hit everybody in the nuts. And it was like, the wrestlers were keeping receipts. They were keeping notes. They were like, all right, when this kid gets to be 18, he's owed like 9,000 nut shots and beatings and whatever else, so like, and Isaiah was around for that era. When John Calvin was a little kid. So, so I could just see Isaiah being like, nope, let it happen. That little shit's got it coming.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened back there, but obviously nothing happened. John comes out and he's like, I'll be in the car whenever you're done. And I'm like, so do I leave? Do you want me to finish concessions? Like, what am I doing here? And, oh man. So funny. So that building, probably 2 or 3 weeks later, that turns into the next week, Ian and John Calvin are fighting, allegedly. And John Calvin brushes past me and he's like, fuck you, you motherfucker, and storms out the door. Well, we had a after party planned at some pizza place Ian had worked in to pay him for something or something. You know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was sponsored. So it was an after the show pizza party thing. So we're all sitting there, and I'm sitting like directly across from Ian. And I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. Like, at this point, I think that's cool, Like, I'm like, oh, this is Ian, and we're having dinner with him. Okay, we're in deep. So I'm like, yeah, I can't believe John Calvin would call you a motherfucker. And Misty's like, And I'm like, what? Like, and he's like, he called me a motherfucker? And I'm like, yeah, you didn't hear him? Like, when he walked out the door, he said, fuck you, motherfucker. And he was like, is that piece of shit here? And I'm like, and then someone else walks in and they're like, oh, we just seen John Calvin in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh my God. And so Ian storms out. And everyone's looking at me and I'm like, what did I do?
What did I do? What did I do?
And they're like, you know what you did? And I was like, no, like, I thought he knew. Like, I didn't need to do that. So then they were like, you're Ian's little shit stir. Like, you knew what you were doing. And I was like, I swear I did not. Like, I genuinely thought, and I never thought Ian would go after his kid. Like, I was confused. Like, so yeah. There's some times.
I can only imagine. You had mentioned in your notes, you had mentioned getting kicked out of Steak and Shake at one point.
Yes. Yeah. So we ended up every night or every Thursday night after Jammers, we would go to Steak and Shake. Like, so much they knew us by name, they knew our drinks, like they knew us. So we're going weekly. And one week it was just a bad week. Like, Ian's favorite server had quit. There was a new girl. She just wasn't it. It was terrible. I can't remember if I think they took forever to get the food out, and then it was wrong. We tried to pay. They gave us attitude. And I mean, at one point, Ian's like, fuck you, motherfuckers. I'll never be back. And Misty's cussing. And me and John are like trying to get them out. And so we ended up getting banned and had to find somewhere else to eat on Thursday nights. You know, Ian was very particular about his food. He wanted a female waiter because he said that they worked harder for their money.
Yeah. Well, that was his excuse.
Yeah.
I think he just wanted a woman waiting on him.
But he did. He was very one time so like you said, working, living together, all that was a bad combo. It ended up blowing up. Reed moved back to Lexington. We moved in with Ian a second time. This is years later. So we moved in with Ian the second time. So one time when we were living together the second time, we went to Taco Bell and they forgot to put sour cream on his tacos. And he called him and he was like, do you know what goes on a Supreme taco? Can you tell me the ingredients? And they list them out. And he goes, yeah, well, my tacos don't have no fucking sour cream on them either right now. So he gets free food replaced. You know, they fucked up his tacos, but he wanted his food the right way.
Well, I can't say anything. I am the same way. I am so particular with my food. If a pickle so much as touches my plate,
Yeah.
every piece of food on that plate is garbage once a pickle has touched the plate, because the pickle juice gets everywhere. Yeah. So when I'm ordering my food, I make a grand scene while ordering, going, if a pickle is anywhere in the ingredients, you throw it into the trash, you put it onto a rocket, you shoot it into the sun. I don't want it to even, onions, the smell gets all over everything, and then every bite, tastes like an onion, even after you've taken it. Like, don't even put any, like, I want it plain. Yeah. And, my wife loves Mexican food. And when we first started dating, we would go to her favorite restaurant in the town that she was living in when we started dating. And I would go in, and every week when we would go there, I'd order a burrito, and I'd tell the people, beans, meat, cheese. That's all that goes on there. It's all I want. Beans, meat, cheese, in that order. Put it on there.
John's the same way.
And they would come back. They would come back to the table. Chef wants to know, what about tomatoes? Beans, meat, cheese. That's it. Don't put anything else on there. And then they come back. What about, and I'm like, beans, meat, cheese. Three things. You're only putting three things on the damn thing. Stop coming out and asking me. And it would be every week. And every week they would mess it up. And I'm like, how can this be so damn difficult?
Yeah.
And it's, I don't want my food, like me and Ian were the same way, where we want our food well done. I'm not chasing it around with a fork and a knife and killing it myself. Like,
yeah, I'm the same way.
You're supposed to kill it. You're supposed to cook it.
Me. He wants it red, and I'm like, how? And now he's taught Blake that, and I'm like, this is actually disgusting. Why are we?
I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah.
It's like, hide that plate. Don't even get it near me. And so like I won't order a steak if I go out, because the chef like won't cook it the way, and I'm like, cook it the way I'm telling you to cook it. Oh no, the chef won't do that. And I'm like, well, then I guess I'm not eating,
Yeah.
And it's just, in some places just cannot understand it. There was one time I took Ian back to his family in Baltimore, and there was like an ESPN restaurant in the harbor area of Baltimore, and we went there, and I ordered a plain cheeseburger, and I sent it back 3 times because they kept sending it out with some kind of baby puke looking, like salady, mayonnaise-y dressing on it. And I kept sending it back, and it kept coming out with it. And then the manager finally came out, and he's like, what is the problem with this burger? And I'm like, I want it plain.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, that comes on the sandwich. And I'm like, when I tell you I want it plain, it doesn't come on the sandwich.
Yeah. Plain.
And he's like, oh, well,
plain.
we put that on there. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't come on there. Automatic, it's not like you're taking it out of the packaging and it's already there. You have to put it, like, don't put it on there. And so then they bring it back out again, and they had just like tried to scrape it off. And I'm like, it's still all over the bread. I'm not eating it. I don't want it. And so then they took it back, and I didn't eat, and they brought the bill, and the sandwich was still on the bill. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm not paying for food I didn't eat.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, and I'm like, no, you're taking it off the bill. You could call the cops if you want, but I'm,
I'm not paying for it.
I ain't paying for it if you can't make it right. It's like ridiculous. So yeah, I'll. It's like the one thing that me and Ian will agree on is the food has got to be done the right goddamn way, especially if you're paying for it. And which I can't believe. I would have figured I figured it was going to be a dine and dash situation when you were like, getting kicked out of the Steak and Shake.
No. I think they was smart and either didn't want to print the bill, and we were like, we don't want the food. We just want to pay and leave. And that, well, we ain't doing that. Well, then we're leaving. Like, what the fuck? And they were just smart. And then Ian didn't take it and said shit. And then Misty trying to control her was a thing in itself. So it was just and me and John are very quiet, if you can believe it. So we're like, just come on. Like, can we please just go? Like, let's go. But yeah, it was one of the crazier things that we experienced with them.
And then you had mentioned meeting Eddie Kingston.
Yep. So actually, before we got kicked out, he wasn't with us that night, but we had went to Steak and Shake with him, and he was talking about, Ian can get you to do anything, just put his hand over your shoulder, and I really need you to do this. He was talking about how Ian had got him to do a death match or something like that. But everyone always jokes, they say, why do people do this for Ian, or why that? And it's just, he puts his hand on over your shoulder, and it's like some kind of magic spell you just kind of fall into.
Same as like when he puts his wrestling boots on, and all of a sudden he can
he just
moves around, and it's like he just had a way about him, especially back then, where he could get the people to do what he wanted them to do. You had mentioned a Ian and Reed table in the back of a truck story.
Oh, man.
This intrigued me. I'm like,
Yeah. So we were in deep. Like I said, we were doing setups, set downs. I mean, we were Ian's pretty much right hand. Like it was Ian, it was us. It was Ian, it was us. So we're tearing down one time, and for some reason the U-Haul didn't show up. So they're like, "Well, we can use your truck, Reed." And Reed's truck is a very little bitty tiny Toyota truck. Like it cannot fit what Ian is wanting to go in this truck. And Ian's like, "I've been doing this for 25 years. I can tell you, them tables will stay on that truck." And Reed's like, "I'm telling you, it's my truck and it ain't gonna stay." And I'm like, "Hey, motherfuckers, I'm the driver and I don't want to do this." And they're like, they argue back and forth, and finally, and if anyone's argued with Reed, we were probably there for hours. And finally, they're like, "Fuck it, we'll do it your way, Ian." And they're like, and I'm like, "So I gotta drive?" "Well, yeah." And I'm like, "Oh fuck." So they put the tables on the thing, and I mean, as soon as I come down the hill to turn out, the tables just go all across the highway. And if anybody knows me, I don't know what the fuck to do. So I just freeze in the middle of the road, and I'm like, "Hello, help, stop," because they're ahead of me. And so Reed's like, "I fucking told you." And Ian's like, "You didn't tie it tight enough." And I'm like, "Someone
Yeah,
just
it couldn't have been,
road."
it couldn't possibly have been his fault,
Yeah.
Damn it, Reed, you didn't tie it right, or else it
Yeah.
would have just been fine,
Yeah, I was like, "Can someone just get the tables out the road and quit arguing?" And they're just standing there going back and forth, and I'm like, "Tables, road, people are honking." And I stayed.
and yet you stayed. Yeah, it's uh so there was a Harbo Mountain Dew story.
Yeah, so one Danny always says this is my favorite story because I guess I tell it a lot. But one time we were outside, it was summer, and Harbo was also Ian's right hand. He'd give him rides, he set up the ring, he was just the handyman pretty much. So we had set up all day, it was hot, heat, it had rained. So then it was humid. So then we had to go dry all this shit off because we had already set up in the rain because no one would listen that it was going to rain. You can imagine that. So it's hot, it's humid. And at this point, I'm still doing concession stands. I've done concession stands at this point, Rome Cam at this point, ref, like all kinds of things you can imagine at this point. So I'm in concession stands. Harbo comes up and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna get this Mountain Dew, and I'll pay you for it later," allegedly. And I'm like, "All right, man." I'm like, "It's Harbo, like he's our guy, pretty much." And
Right.
he walks off, and I don't think nothing about it. And here Ian comes, allegedly, and he's like, "Did you just steal from my concession stand?" And Harpo's like, "No, I just told her I would pay it back later." He's like, "Okay, so you didn't pay for that Mountain Dew." And he's like, "No, I told her I was going to pay for it later." He's like, "So you stole from my concession stand?" And he's like, "Okay, I'll go put it back." Like, what? It was just little freakouts like that. It was just like that same weekend. We're there. It had to be a King of the Death weekend or something because we were there for the next night. But that first night, we're sitting there setting up, and cops pull in the lot in front of it, and Ian starts pacing back and forth, and he just kicks the fucking toolbox, and it scares the shit out of me. I'm like, "What is going on?" Because I don't, I'm still at this point clueless, but you know, he's like, they just keep fucking with me. And I'm like, but what did the toolbox do to you? Like, you're making a scene for them to come over here. At this point,
Right.
they're just across the street. Like, if you have everything in line and you can run shows, then what are you mad about? You're causing a scene to make them come over here. Calm
Right.
down. So he would
Oh,
just have little
always, always
freakouts
has,
like that.
always has to make the situations worse, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah.
and he had such an uncanny knack for that. And I can just see him flipping out over someone taking that that Mountain Dew. So like we're talking a 45-cent can of soda that he's probably going to sell for $1, and he's like flipping out over a guy that who knows how much money Harbaugh had given him, all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
free labor that Harbaugh had given him, and he's flipping out over a goddamn can of soda that you know wasn't
Well,
immediately
it
paid
was a
for.
bottle, and it was
Oh,
always
okay, bottle.
a bottle, always Pepsi products, and it was $2.50
Okay, well,
back
that
then.
that 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 makes it that makes it understandable then.
I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I can remember that. But yeah, he was very picky about his concession stand. He wanted Pepsi products. And yeah, he was very, because I'd be like, can we not just get the cheap shit? Like, come on. Nope, it's got to be Pepsi. Um, but yeah, and then, so later that night, the same night that he allegedly did that with Harbaugh, Marcus Crane comes up and he's like, can I get a hot dog? And I'm like, bro, I'll fix it, but you gotta come like way around here and act like you're handing me money. And he was like, are you seriously? And I was like, yes, just act like you're handing me money and walk about your fucking business.
Yeah,
He was like,
unless you want a huge scene developing.
yeah. He was like, I'm bleeding to death. I was like, I know, I'll pay for it. Just go. Like, I can't. Do you want to get jerked up? No. You didn't see what happened to Harbaugh.
Yeah, that shit like there was times that I paid to get the fucking t-shirts made. And then like he would charge me cost for the fucking t-shirt if I wanted one for myself. And I'm like, I paid for the fucking thing. What the fuck you mean I still then have to pay again for the, well, how are we gonna make our money back? Well, I'm never gonna make my fucking money back. What the fuck? I'm never gonna make my fucking money back.
Yeah.
I'm taking a goddamn fucking t-shirt. Oh, that's $25 I'm not gonna have now. And I'm like, and you would have no money if I hadn't bought the fucking thing. So,
yeah.
And it was just so I can definitely see him, just losing shit over a fucking bottle of pop. And
yeah. One time we towards kind of the end, we ran a show for him. I guess he really, really trusted us. So I'm telling them, they're asking me what ticket we started with, what ticket this, what ticket that. And like I paid somebody $10 out of the gate early or something. And then at the end of the night, they were texting and they were like, but wait, where's that $10? And I was like, motherfucker, to the green kid who left before the fucking second match. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it was yeah. He knew his money and what it should be, and down to the tickets, to the this, to the that. He was very smart about that, I guess.
yeah, he didn't know shit about anything else, but he somehow was like an idiot savant when it came to the counting the money and knowing what the money should be. And it's like ridiculous. But you had mentioned that you had to ref a show.
Yeah. That was such an experience. So like I said, at this point, I've done roam cam, pretty much anything that needed to be done that I could do, I was doing. John was getting the matches. He was the guy there, I was doing what needed to be done on my part. So, I don't remember who it was, but they didn't show up. So it's like 10 minutes before doors, and Ian's like, I need a ref. Hey, put this shirt on. And I'm like, put this shirt on? What do you mean? And he was like, you know how to count to 3, don't you? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, all right, you're fine. And I had a dress on it this time. I don't remember why, but whatever. And he's like, I'm like, I don't even have pants. And he looks over at Reed and he's like, Reed, give her your pants. And he's like, all right. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, what do y'all mean, all right? And he's like, puts his hand, on my shoulder. And he's like, I don't have nobody else. And I'm like, I see a bunch of somebody else's in this motherfucker that can do this besides me. He's like, nope, it's you. And I'm like, what if I do something wrong? How do I know? I can't remember. I can't do this. And he's like, all you got to do is count to 3. Move out of the way and count to 3. And I'm like, but what if I miss something? He's like, it's their responsibility to kick. I said, all right. So if I fuck up, it's not my fault. I'll do it, but it's not my fault. I won't get mad. He's like, I'll have Harbo ref my match. And I'm like, well, why can't you just have Harbo ref all of them? He was like, no, he can't do that. I'm like,
He can't do all the matches. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm like, all right. So I get out there, and they had a qualifying match for TPI. And like I said, what if I fuck up? And I fucked up. Oh, whoever it was, Corey Storm ends up winning. And so I just put a 15-year-old in the TPI on accident. And I just turn around and I look at Nick and I'm like, tell him it's 3 out of 4. I don't know. Fix it.
Fix it.
So
impromptu. We forgot to mention this was 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Oh.
And they're like, all whispering at me. They're like, you fucked up. And I'm like, I'm not trained. Like, I don't know what y'all want from me right now. I'm doing the best. Yeah, but then Ian ended up still putting Corey in the TPI. But yeah, it was just so crazy because I was like, the one thing I fuck up was the biggest match.
That's, in sports, the ball will always find you. If you're the fielder and you're scared that like the ball's going to like your ref, that somebody not kicking out is going to find you if you're in that situation, and it's just going to, it's fate. You knew it. He probably knew it. It wouldn't surprise me if he even like set it up as a rib for it to work out that way, just to fuck with you.
I go to the back and I'm like, you told me just to count to 3. And he was like, you were counting at his ass. I said, you said just count to 3. You never said make sure you're at their head. You never told me that. Never told me that. I follow strict instructions. Right. That was his fault.
Yeah, but he wouldn't. He would never take responsibility for it. Yeah. So there's a dropping chips story.
Yes. So at Colgate, I had the concession stand here, and then he did the doors over here. So at this point, we were still living with Reed. So they would take care of the concession stand during the week. I would just run it. Once I got there, I would set it up and everything like that. So at some point during the week at their house, the chip bag got open. Like the big nacho, chip bag. And they must have just flipped it back over. So I'm running the concession stand, doing this, doing that. I don't realize it. I just pick up a chip bag. The whole thing falls out. There's chips everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, please tell me Ian is not looking over here right now. Oh. And I look and he goes, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I didn't do this. Like, he's like, you better make it back up in sales. And I'm like, okay, yep, got it. Like, let me clean this shit up right now. Like,
Yeah, he probably got high during the week and went and opened up the bag and then was like, "Oh shit." And then instead of like getting a clothespin or something to try to close it, just flip it to where you can't see that it's open. And
yeah. One time, the second time we lived with him, he had cheesecake, and I love cheesecake. Like, it is my absolute favorite. Everybody knows it. But I would have never ate Ian's stuff. Like, that's not me. Like, I would have asked, because he would have gave me pretty much anything I wanted at that point. Like, he would have gave me a piece if I would have asked. But I guess John got high, allegedly, and went to the fridge and ate Ian's cheesecake. So the next day we get up and Ian's mad about something, I don't know. And he's like, and you ate my fucking cheesecake. I know you ate my cheesecake. And I'm like, shoot, getting pissed, because I'm like, I didn't eat your fucking cheesecake. Like, no, I didn't. John the whole time ate it, but I didn't know it. So he's watching me get my ass chewed out about fucking cheesecake. And I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm moving out. I don't know where the fuck I'm going, but I'll figure it out. Like, I didn't eat your fucking cheesecake. And Ian, Ian, he's not giving up either. He's like, I know my cheesecake's missing. So then, like, years later, once we moved out one night, John was like, that was me that ate Ian's cheesecake. I was like,
allegedly.
Yeah,
allegedly. You don't want a lawyer showing up at your door tomorrow wanting $10 to get that cheesecake back.
Yeah. I was like, you motherfucker, you let me sit there and take that ass chewing and you knew it was you.
See, that was not very nice.
Yeah.
Not very nice of John at all to do that.
Yeah.
So you had down spending Christmas with Ian?
Yes. So I will say that Ian was good to me. I know everybody has their ups and downs and things like that. Now, we'll get into when he fucked us with money and all that. Now, that was not good to us. But for a while, Ian was really good to us. And for Christmas, one Christmas, he went out and he bought me a phone, a high dollar hair straightener. I still use it to this day. And all kinds of stuff. But he bought John summer sausage.
Summer sausage?
A link of summer sausage. So John's in there one night and he's like, I'm gonna go fix me some of that summer sausage. And he's in there and he's fixing it, and Misty's like, I guess she had fixed Ian some at the same time. And he was like, why are you cutting that off? And she was like, John, this is the peeling. Like, you're supposed to cut that off. And he had been eating the packaging the whole time.
Oh. Oh God.
It's just times like that. It was like, what are we doing here? And then there was those good times, but then there was those times where it got to where when Ian was up, he was up. It was good times. And then it got to where it was just the bad times, the no money, the I'm gonna overbook this show, even though I'm not gonna make money, but I'm still holding on to that hope that the crowd's gonna come.
Right.
You know, those times.
They're just gonna magically show up, and I'm gonna put 25 people on this show, and I've done no advertising, and I haven't made one single post on the internet about it, and people are just gonna magically know that there's this show going on, and they're all gonna show up, and it's just gonna be, we're all gonna hold hands and sing "Kumbaya," and it's gonna be a
Yeah.
great moment, and
Yeah.
and then you're in the building with crickets.
Yeah. So it had just been building up and building up, and how you want to be a deathmatch star. I was doing Rome Cam that night, and somebody had canceled, and they had got somebody else to come in. I can't remember the kid's name, but one of the money marks allegedly was a big heckler. He loved to give heck to the wrestlers. Loved to give heck to the wrestlers. So he's giving heck to the wrestlers, and Ian gets pissed. And so Ian goes up and he's in his face like, "You motherfucker, blah, 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 blah." And like, Reed and John are like, "What are you doing? Like, this is too much." So they go try to stop it. And I guess words was said, whatever, they get into it. So I'm on Roan Cam, and I'm still having to keep up with the match. And all this is going on over here. And so the last thing I see is John and Reed storm to the back. So I'm like, okay, whatever, it's over and done, whatever. Next thing I know, here comes John, and he's like, "Come on." And I'm like, "What do you mean, come on?" Like, and he's like, "Come the fuck on." And I'm like, "I have the camera." And he's like, "I don't give a fuck." And I'm like, so some like fan comes up and takes it. And I don't know what happens after that because, I left. So we packed up our stuff, then moved to Lexington with Reed. He, at this point in his life, had become the apartment manager. So at this point, we moved into our own apartment, and that's kind of been where we've been ever since.
Okay. So you,
Yeah.
you at least made your escape, got out of there. So you lived with Ian two separate occasions.
Yes, that was the first time we escaped Ian.
Okay. The like I don't know. I lived with him for quite a while, and then if once I moved out, I was still like over there all the time. Um, my and then when I moved back to Illinois, then I would like still go down and stay at his place like 2-3 weeks at a time if there was a bunch of shows coming up or whatever. And like the main experience was if it was not a show day, like he would not get up out of bed and would not come out of his bedroom until like 7-8 o'clock at night, if he came out at all. So then you're just like sitting around going, okay, well, I'll have to find something to do to occupy myself, and you're like, what, why am I here if, we're not talking business, we're not doing anything, and he's just, hermiting it up in the bedroom and, not coming out. And then like you would go,
you're ready for bed and he's ready to get up.
Right. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to bed. I'm sorry. And okay, so you said you made your escape, got to Lexington.
Yeah. So the boys kind of did their own thing. I think they got into GCW. CZW did a couple things there. And then we got the call, I've changed. I really need you guys to come back. I got this great story. Please come back. And I was like, you guys are idiots. No, we're not going back. We're not going back.
And so you went back.
We went back.
So you went back. They didn't listen to you.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
were the voice of reason. They should have
yeah.
listened.
They
But
got a pay bump, you know. We went back. It was all fine and dandy, you know, until it wasn't. Until the second time we quit, he had run in the H2O building. So he had booked John in some like razor board something bullshit match. So we're going up. And at this point in my driving career for them, I sucked allegedly at roundabouts.
roundabouts suck.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with roundabouts is
And then you know
should be shot.
when a cop is getting on one with you, you get a little nervous, you know. So we get pulled over. Allegedly. And there's weed in the car, allegedly. But it takes forever for them to get to that. They pull me out of the car. They accuse Reed of being some hobo we just picked up. Like they questioned me for that for like 20 minutes. And they were like, "Are you sure you know this man?" And I'm like, "Yes, like he is like the most intelligent man I know." And they're like, "Ma'am, he's dressed like a hobo." And I'm like, "It's just Reed. Like it's winter time and he's in shorts." But like it's just him, you know? Like
he looks like a bum.
yeah. And so then they're like, "We smell marijuana in the car." And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's nothing in the car." So I go back and forth with them for like 30 minutes. And they're like, "All right, we'll go ask them." And I'm like, "All right." So they know I ain't cracking. Those two definitely ain't cracking. Like, they picked me first because they thought I was going to crack. And they allegedly go up to John and he goes, "It's right here." And there was an officer with me, and I go, "You're gonna have to arrest me." And he goes, "Why?" And I go, "'Cause I'm the fucker." He's like, "Ma'am, you can't say that." And I'm like, "Good thing I'm not being serious." So I call, they tell us, they're like, "Look," and I mean, it's not even nothing. It's like maybe a blunt. But still, that motherfucker don't do crimes with John Wayne Murdoch. So, allegedly.
Allegedly.
So,
well, you know, and I'm straight edge, so I can't have any stories like this. But I did have an instance where I got in trouble in high school one time, and there was like me and this kid. We were frenemies, okay, and but nobody else could like tolerate us, so we would just we were more friend than enemy.
right.
Even though we didn't really get, you know, we didn't get along, but we didn't have anybody else. So we had like instead of annoying each other, let's annoy everybody else together kind of pact that we did at this point. And there was a kid in the special needs program at the school that for some reason would just come up and like try to become friends with this other guy.
Right.
And he would just like get so annoyed. It'd be like, "Get away from me, get away from me, get away from me." So one day he brings a tube of super glue to school. And so I'm standing watching him, and I'm like the lookout.
Right.
And he like takes the super glue, and, you know, it's a high school locker, so it's got the little spinning combo lock on it.
Right.
And, you know, it's like twice to the left and then to the right and then
Old
whatever,
school. Yeah, yeah.
kind of thing. So he takes the super glue and he like squeezes it all over the knob where you would touch it to spin to do your combo. And then we just stood there and watched as this kid came up to get into his locker after class, and he like touches it and it gets all over his fingers and his hands, and he like freaks out and he just starts smearing it, like trying to get it off of his hands.
Right, yeah.
And he runs away and we laugh and we don't think anything of it. Probably 3 weeks pass. I mean, a long time has passed.
Right.
And a student comes into the classroom and hands a note to the teacher. And the teacher's like, Mr. Fannin, you need to report to Mr. Talarico's office. And, I'm freaking out because like I'd already lost my mom and they had like brought a note like that to tell me kind of thing. And then like my dad was in bad shape. So I'm like, oh shit, did something just happen to my dad? So I'm like freaked out.
Right.
And I go into his office and I'm like, what's going on, Mr. T? And he goes, are your hands sticky, Mr. Fannin? And I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
I thought something happened to my dad. And he's like, no, I want to know if your hands are sticky. And I'm like, listen, dude, you need to just ask what you're going to ask because I have no idea what the hell I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, I'm talking about super glue. And I'm like, you mean what this person did, like put the super glue all over this other person's locker? And he threw his hands up and he was like, I didn't think it was possible, but you stool pigeoned him off faster than he named you when I called him in here. And I'm like, it was all him. It was all him. I was the lookout. And he was like, he was like, well, don't do any crimes for either one of you two around. You're ratting everybody. And I looked right at him and I said, if I'm going down, I'm taking everybody with me. Ain't no way. I'm not taking the blame. And he just laughed and he was like, you got 1 week's detention. And so then I showed up to detention that night, and the teacher doing detention was like the football coach, and I was on the football team, and he was like, what the hell are you doing in here? And I like told him, and he was like, you don't belong in here with these murderers and thugs. They'll eat you alive. You just go. I'll say you were here. And so then I didn't even have to serve the time. But
yeah, they literally tell us, they're like, we just gotta cuff you, take you down, and then you can go. Because John's like, I got a show. Like, I'm already running late because of this. You don't understand, Ian Rotten. I gotta go. And they're like, well, you gotta go down there. So they take him. They let us go. We head down there because all they gotta literally do, fingerprint, go on. So they do that. Let him out. We get to the show. Ian's pissed because we're late. And we're like, we literally got pulled over. Like, what did you want us to do? You should have left early. When I was wrestling, I always left early to prepare for that. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, this is 12 hours for us. Like, we did leave early. Like, shit happened. But he does the match, and then John was supposed to do the match, and then he was going to catch a flight to Cali. He was going to take his pay from there and catch the flight. Me and Reed was going to drive back because we were going to do the beach, because I always try to do something fun on a wrestling trip if I can. So we dropped John off at the airport. We're waiting for the pay. It never comes. I don't even remember what the excuse was at that point, but it just didn't come. So at that point in our life, like, how are we getting home at this point? Like, we had used our paycheck from our job to already get us to there.
Right.
So the plan was we would get the pay John would take half to go on his flight until he gets his other pay. I would take half. Me, Reed, and Blake would come home. So, like, what do you mean it's not coming? Like,
Right.
we have no choice for it not to come. And so John gets on his flight, and I'm with Reed, and I'm like, you know what? This ain't right. And I'm like, John's never gonna just go away. Like, he'll never leave. Like, he loves IWA that much. Like, we're just gonna keep going on this cycle. And you know, Reed, he's just listening, like, yeah. Oh, what are you gonna do? And I was like, John's on the flight. He doesn't have his messenger right now. So that day the Mouthy cunt was born, I message him as John, and I'm like, I'm done, man. Like, we went all this way. Like, I'm going to another booking with no money. Like, I'm not eating because I sent my family back, with nothing. Like, I pretty much told him everything that John was saying to me, but John wouldn't say it to him.
Right.
Like, copy and pasting pretty much. But I was like, John's never going to tell him this. So I'm going to tell him this as John, because John can't stop me right now. Sorry. You can't stop me. And it needs to be done because
it needed to be done.
Yeah. We're just going to keep going in the cycle. And Ian was like, because at this point, he was telling us he didn't have the money, but Misty was like Snapchatting. They were doing this. They were eating like subs on the Jersey Shore. Like, you're pretty much doing what we were going to do, but you're telling me that you don't have money. And then he was like, oh, my mom did this, and that. And I'm like, okay, motherfucker, if your mom was giving you money, then have her pay your debt, not you go enjoy it. Like,
right.
And he was so appalled that I would think that. But, like, I don't give a fuck. That's true. Like, don't run a wrestling show if you don't have the money to pay the boys. It's simple. Like, cut and dry. And that was what did I say? This is the second time we quit. So we were just done. Like, we got home, though, like, we lived that life, but we got home. John made it to his booking, and he got home, and here we are today. Like, the struggles of pro wrestling, right? Like,
right.
But it was just like, I was like, he's not going to get another one over on John, because John is too fucking nice sometimes to people, and he needs someone to have that, no, motherfucker, you're wrong. Like, and that's just what it was. And Ian did not like that at all. So he goes on this podcast. Someone asked him, well, why did the rejects leave again? It was the hot topic. And he doesn't even shit on John. He doesn't shit on Reed. He just shits on me the entire time. That mouthy wife of his, that mouthy cunt, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I was the world's worst because I had said the truth. I guess, I don't know. And it wasn't my place. Sure,
because you're a woman. So
yeah,
it wasn't your place. It wasn't your place to tell him off.
Yeah.
But it was, and his MO was, he would fuck you over, and if you let him get away with it, then he would just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And like my buddies that started me into the business by bringing the stuff to Lexington, he fucked them over and they left.
Yeah.
And they were gone. I stuck around. And so it just kept happening and happening and happening until I finally got to my breaking point and was like, that's it, I'm gone. And then like had to go cold turkey. Like change my phone number,
Yeah,
never
yeah.
speak,
Unreachable, yeah.
unreachable because, he had that arm around the shoulder that just like he could just keep pulling you back in. And if you hadn't have done what you did, IWA might still be in existence because there'd be, John would be there killing himself,
Yeah.
getting screwed over on a weekly basis,
Well,
allowing it to happen. And
we went back one last time. One last time we went back. I think Misty had hit me up because me and Misty was always close to the sense of when we lived together, we worked together. That's how in we were. Like I was taken to his doctor visits. Like he helped me pay to get the car on my tires fixed, but it was because I was running him around town. Like we were that close. So like Misty hits me up and she's like, Ian wants to know if you guys will come back. I'll pay. I think it was just John at this point. If John will come back, I'll pay him double what we owe him and his rate, whatever it is now. And so I brought it to John. He's like, I don't do it. I don't want to do it. And then he goes, I'm just going to give him a crazy number and see what he says. And Ian was like, all right. And John was like, I want to be paid before the show, before doors, or I'm not doing it. He's like, all right, I'll meet, come in before anybody gets there. We'll get there early. Gets there and counts out double, triple, whatever it was of what he owes him, his pay. We do one show. That was it. It was supposed to be it. One show. That was it. And then I think he brings back Double Death or something. Gets Reed. Then, the next show comes and the next show comes. And then you're back in it again.
Yeah.
So we were in there until the very end. The match that Jake burnt the belt over and, all of that drama that came up was of him and John. We were back, but it was off and on. Like it was never what it was the first time. Right. We were back, but we were smart this time. This time, we wanted our money. John knew his worth. I wasn't touching shit. I was coming in, sitting down. I'm not helping. We're here for one reason only. So, John goes to a show by himself, calls me, and he's like, he's done it again. He says he's got me first thing Monday morning or something like that. And I'm like, what? Like, we were on such a good streak. What the fuck? And I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, because John would rib me sometimes. And I'm like, you're kidding me? He's like, I wish I was. And I was like, he was like, what do I do? Like, I'm literally dressed. My match is next. And he just come and told the both of us. And at that point, what do I say? I'm like, I mean, do the match. You're there. You know what I mean? Like, are you just not going to do it? Like, you might as well just do it. So they do it. And then it's weeks go by. And the light outside. It's weeks and weeks go by. And they pay John, but for some reason they don't pay Jake. And Jake's the champ.
Right. And
so Jake is messaging John like, I'm so pissed. Like, what should I do? Like, like everyone loved Ian. You know what I mean? Like, you loved him, but you hated him. Like, at the same time, like, to know Ian was to know Ian. It's hard to explain.
Right. You don't need to explain it to me. I've lived it for 12 years. I know exactly what you're saying.
And so I'm like, I write Misty, and I'm like, Misty, you have got to pay Jake. Like, you have got to pay Jake. Like, I'm telling her, like, I'm trying to help them without anyone even knowing that I'm trying to help them, you know? Like, you're going to go down with the ship, you're going to go down with the ship, you know? Like, come on. Just pay the man. Right. And I'm like, this is going to be bad if you don't do it. I'm telling you. Like, give the man his fucking money. Oh, we are. And I'm like, you're not, because I know you're not. Like, right. You're trying to work me for no reason. And then the video dropped. And I was like, y'all are so fucking dumb. Like, all you had to do was pay him. That's it.
That's it. Well, and it was like, history always repeats itself, because we had Jimmy Jacobs on this podcast explaining, you know, where he, like, for $200 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
You know, Ian sitting there lying to him, going, "Oh, I'm sending it right now. Oh, I'm sending it right now. Oh, I'm sending it. Oh, I'm gonna go do that right now," and just never sends him the $200.
Yeah.
You know, and when I heard that, like, I wanted to throw shit at my computer screen as I'm here. Like, the amount of money that man took from me for shit, and he didn't just come to me and go, save the fucking title from getting thrown into the trash on somebody else's show. I need $200. And I'd have fucking paid the $200.
Yeah.
You know? But he wouldn't fucking do it. You know, and then it happens. You know, it's like, what the fuck? And I don't know what Jake was owed. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with, you know, especially at that point, I'm not in it.
Yeah.
Don't give a shit, you know.
Yeah.
But
it was just like
same crap. Same crap.
Just yep. And that was
cycle.
That was pretty much then, you know, like I think he tried to come back once and people were like, no. But yeah, it was like some of the dumbest things. Like, if you would have just done some certain things a certain way, like, he just couldn't get it.
Well, in the number of times that I would take him to the boat and he would be up like $300, and I'd be like, that's a great night.
Yeah, go home.
Especially back then.
Yeah.
Like, how many people would die to have $300 cash handed to them and call that a day's work?
Yeah.
25 years ago. They would have loved it.
Yeah.
Shit. People would love it right now, today.
When our car broke down, they were staying nights at the boat, and we even went and stayed some nights there. And Ian was like, you get this on your points, or you get that because you gamble so much, and this and that. And I was like, John, he must gamble a lot. Like, we were getting free food, like free this, like,
because they wanted him there to take all of his fucking money.
Yeah,
because he would not leave.
Yeah, but
every day,
like, I'm just like, this is a whole new life to me. Like, I come from a little town with one red light, so I'm just like, wow, what is this, you know? And now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, like, that's why everything was free, because this idiot was just putting money and money and money.
And he would sit there and, like I say, he'd be up $300, and I'd be begging him, going, let's go.
Yeah.
This is a good day. Let's just fucking go. Oh, no. I'm on a streak. I'm going to turn this 300 into $3,000. And 30 minutes later, he'd have lost $1,200.
Yeah.
You're like, motherfucker, that's a $1,500. That's your fucking rent. In 30 minutes, you blew your rent.
Yeah.
And you could have been up $300. You could have came back the next day, been up a couple $100. Like, leave when you're up a little. You know,
I could
what
take
the fuck, and he would not do it
and double it. And I would say, or you could just take what you got and be happy with what you got. Because what if you lose it? I want to be all right. And he would tell me the one thing about money: you lose it, but you can always make it back. And I would be like,
No, you can't.
so now when I make a bad decision, I'm like, John, the one thing about money, you can spend it and you can always make it back.
Yeah.
And he's like, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, well, that's
I
what
mean,
he is.
he was living the fucking Arrested Development. There's always money in the banana stand
Yeah.
until the fucking banana stand burns to the ground and takes the money with it.
Yeah.
What the fuck, you know? It's like God, and just endless cycle. Your time is a flat circle. It's just the same story over and over and over again. And you know, you guys lived it after I got out, and now who knows who he's got his claws into now, and
Yeah,
if anybody.
I don't know. I don't think he'll ever, run. I think those days are over. So I think at least there won't be another generation, I guess you would say, of people. Um, it was a once in a lifetime experience. I'll say that. And I am glad that I went through that and found death matches because I would have never seen the love that I have for it now. Like I'm really glad that I came and went through all that and made that decision all those years ago. But it was definitely an experience to say to say the least on that end.
Right. And you know, can't speak for you guys, but I know with me, like I'd have no friend. Like I pre wrestling, I had like one friend.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but we both liked wrestling, and that was like what made us friends going through school as kids. You know, that was what started it. So I mean, really, I'd have no friends at all if it wasn't for wrestling. And you know, through all the bad, you know, I still have the bonds that I have with Manawa and Mitch Page and
Yeah. Yeah.
now you guys and the people that we went through the same hell and we came out on the other side. We're still alive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
We
why.
still we made it.
Yeah,
And
and I will always love IWA because of that. Because yes, times sucked. There was highs, there was lows, but we were out there putting flyers on cars. We were out there. We lived it. Like we really believed it. John built like the Memphis flea market, like nails, hammers, like literally building an arena for IWA to run weekly. Like that was our life
right.
for so long. So like I will always, shout out IWA. Like I can not associate it with the bad parts of Ian.
Right. Because that's a separate entity. You know,
Yes.
that's the man,
Yeah.
but the
The memories are there.
that locker room and the people with the shared experiences and everything that we went through, like I will cherish that part
Forever. Yeah.
forever and separate it from the person.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why we've got a show coming up
Yes.
that has been announced November the 1st in Indianapolis, be a tribute to Mark Wolf. Um, and we'll say a little bit more about that as I do the wrap up and get to it. But, you know, as can be assumed from the posts that have already been made, you know, the rejects are a part of it. So by the time this airs, I don't know if Manuel have gotten around to that announcement, but the people listening to the podcast, yes, the surprise, the rejects will be on that show. They will be there, you know, and got to say, I really appreciate what you guys have done for the Fannin family name and the fact that you know Reed and John are wearing the shirts even when I'm not there, and
Oh yeah.
having my name said, you know, that representing the family, even though I'm not there at the shows, and wish I could be, wish that I lived close enough to make it to some of these, and I'd gladly jump in a car and ride to the show and get to perform in front of people, and especially now that I'm actually having fun doing it again.
Right, yeah. Now it's fun again.
Now that it's fun again, I would love to be at more shows and to be able to do it. So it's one of those where manifest it and speak it into existence, and maybe
Yes, we got to get you in the car.
Say it enough times on some of these shows, and maybe they'll be like, well, what is this that you keep announcing it? Well, like, what is it? So hopefully,
I'm the real boss. So
yeah,
you did it on the right show. We'll make it happen.
yeah. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity to wrap up and anything that you have to hype. I know John has a lot of merch. How can people reach out and get some of the merchandise? How can they reach out to you? What have you got to let the fans know about?
So we got some exciting news. He's gonna start doing whatnot sales. We should get the equipment in a couple of days, so keep your eyes out for that. We don't have an official date yet, but that's gonna be one of the main sources to find merch now, and I'm so glad because it's such a much easier process. We've learned. So that's really it. He goes to Texas. We have a big Texas trip at the end of the month. Yay. I think it's like 15 hours. Might be my last road trip for a while. But yeah, I think that's finished out the month really. Kind of slow. The kids are going back to school, so just hanging in there.
Is the daughter the number one ranked wrestler in the state?
Not yet, but she's really hyped for season to start, so that's something she's looking forward to. And then basketball for Blake, he just got out of the championship. The summer league was a little less of a great team, I'll say.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So it was definitely more of a fun time for him more than of I want to win this season. So he really didn't care about that. But yeah, I'm excited to see how things start going. So we'll see.
When does the wrestling season start down there? Because up here, when I was in school, it would always start after football, so it'd be like after Thanksgiving, right
Yeah,
around
yeah,
Thanksgiving, that it would start up.
yep. And then state is late February
Yeah,
into March. Yeah.
okay. So about the same as it was around here. So we'll keep it. It was fun following you on Twitter
Oh
last
yeah,
spring and
yeah. We were
following the.
so excited. Yep. She just come out of nowhere wanting to do it, and she killed it. So now I'm even excited to see how she's been now, because this summer she went to camps. Like, she really grinded this summer to be better at it. So I'm excited to see how she goes this year.
Well, they might as well just shine up that state championship medal right now and
Yeah,
hand it over, save everybody the time and the hassle.
go
Uh,
ahead and give it to her. Yeah.
go ahead and give it to her right now. Um, so this is going to wrap up another edition of Fannin's Flashbacks. I'd like to thank Mae for joining me today. Remember to check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/sportsfannin for IWA clips and matches and the audio to these podcasts. When you get to the YouTube channel, start by hitting the subscribe button, then hit like and leave some comments. But more importantly, if you have a subscription to IWTV, Independent Wrestling TV ran by Smart Mark Video, please go watch the podcasts there. The podcast is on there with added clips of matches and promos talked about on these episodes. And yes, I do make a little bit of money by you watching it on there, so please do so. And then I'll have more money to put towards the Mark Wolf tribute as we get there, because I'm putting that, this is my money going into that show. So watch the podcast on IWTV and help support the Mark Wolf show that way. Make sure that you're tweeting Prophet of Ash and thanking him for all the work that he's putting into this and all the work that he put into making the Mark Wolf show possible to happen, helping me save a lot of money by some of the connections that he was able to get me. But please subscribe to IWTV. They've got current promotions like WXW in Germany, No Holds Barred, Dreamwave, Anarchy, Wrestling Open, Girl Fight Wrestling. You can watch all of their stuff on demand, and they're starting to put a lot of the old IWA shows up onto stream. The seal has been broken on that one. They started with Something to Prove, and now Prophet of Ash is sending in. He's got like all of the shows. He's had them all ready, and they're finally agreeable to putting it on and letting folks get to watch some of the old shows. Going back to my time, going back to John's time, you can see all those shows that were not available. Seems like they've been putting out almost 4 a week. So
oh wow,
go and watch the old IWA footage. You don't have to worry about money going into the wrong people's hands with that. So go ahead and go watch that, clear of conscience. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at jfannin73. My next show is going to be the day after this drops. This coming Saturday, August the 15th, in All Vermilion Wrestling in Danville, Illinois, at the Illini Skateland. I'll be joined by Connor Hopkins and Trick Davis. Connor will be defending his newly won IWA World title versus IWA alumnus Jason Levi. We also have Wrestle Arts in Indianapolis at the Irving Theater on Saturday, September the 26th. I will be at Bloodstone Wrestling on October the 9th at Logan Square Auditorium here in Chicago. And then the big one, the return of IWA, as I will be running my own show, Last Resort, the tribute to Mark Wolf, Sunday night, November the 1st in Indianapolis at the Irving Theater with a 5 p.m. bell time. We're going to do our best to get that show to end around 8 p.m., 8:30, hopefully at the latest, Eastern time. So Louisville folks can get home by, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Chicago folks, courtesy of gaining an hour by driving back to the Central Time Zone, they should be able to get home hopefully by 10:30, 11 o'clock at night if you leave after the show. So go ahead and do that. Come out to the show. Stay tuned to my social media, Nick Manawa's social media, as we have updates for the event. I announced myself as being the first announced participant today on social media. Surprise, surprise. I'm going to be on my own show. But we'll start making other announcements. We're working on getting a ticket account set up so tickets can be bought online. Book the Fannin family, Connor Hopkins, Trick Davis, the Rejects, Reed Bentley, John Wayne Murdoch. We're ready for bookings. Reach out. Let's do business together. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Fannin's Flashbacks. So let it be written. So let it be done. Good day.